Hey, it's Mark again, helping you to understand English grammar, and here we are in Chapter 5. The title of Chapter 5 is what? Shifting sentence focus, right? There are a couple ways that that's done, but the main way that we're looking at that in Chapter 5 is through the use of something called the passive voice. You may have heard of this before. It's used for a number of reasons, but sometimes it's shifting blame, sometimes it's shifting focus from the subject to what the direct object used to be. We'll take a look at how that works. Let's look at this sentence really quick here. Can you read this for me, Kenny?
The boy ate every piece of pizza.
Okay, so this is the active voice. These are the simple declarative sentences that we've been doing through Chapter 3 and 4. Let's just diagram it real quick. Can you do that, bro? What's the subject?
The boy.
And what did he do?
He ate.
And was something, did he eat something?
Yeah, he ate the pieces of pizza.
Pizza, right. So we have boy, noun phrase 1. And what pattern is this, buddy? How many noun phrases you got? 2, right?
Yeah,
So it's pattern 7. All right, it'll come back to you, don't worry. Okay, noun phrase 1, subject, verb, transitive, and direct object. Now let me ask you this, Kenny. If someone went up to the boy and said, boy, what happened to the pizza? What would he say?
every piece of pizza was eaten,
Why would he do that?
so he could hide his true identity.
He doesn't want to get busted, right? And that's where, we're joking. That's one way to use the passive voice. You see it a lot. Mistakes were made, right? Somebody made the mistake. Now, if we do the verb expansion formula for this one, do you remember what that was? Tense, optional auxiliary, have plus en, be plus ing, and then the main verb, right? And in this case, we would get past plus eat, right? Okay. Now, what did we do when we erased the boy from this little story here to make it passive? Well, the first thing we did was move the direct object to the subject slot. Now, how did we put that? Boy, where's the pizza? What did he say?
The pizza, every piece of pizza was eaten.
Okay? So we took the direct object, we made it the subject of the sentence. Every piece of pizza. We can even diagram this one real quick too. Piece. Okay? Direct object becomes a subject. That's step number 1. Now, look what we're doing to the verb, though. We're adding a be plus the en ending, okay? So your verb expansion formula becomes, for the passive, can you see this down here, dude?
Yeah.
Okay. The tense plus the modal auxiliary plus the optional have plus en plus the optional be plus ing. And watch this. We're not going to put parentheses here with the passive because it has to be there. We must have the be and we must have the en ending. So it's be plus en and then your main verb, right? So in this case, we would have, can you get all the way in the bottom here, bro? Okay. Past plus be plus en, because we don't have the have or the ing there. And what's our main verb? Is eat, right? So, step 1, move the direct object into the subject slot like we did here, right? Step 2, add your B plus EN. And step 3 is optional, okay? The boy probably doesn't want this, right? He probably doesn't. Why doesn't he want step 3?
Because then he will get busted.
He'll get busted, right? Okay, so if you want to keep the agent in here, and sometimes, you know, you're not always using the passive just to blame, shift blame from somewhere to somewhere else. Sometimes you're using it to say, every piece, you can hear me say it, every piece of pizza was eaten by the boy. You can hear the emphasis on the subject as opposed to the boy ate every piece of pizza. All right, so you may have the optional step 3 and keep the agent in here in this prepositional, adverbial prepositional here. Okay, let's look at one of the longer sentences that we looked at in the sentences for practice in chapter 4 and do the same thing. All right, now, real quick, can you diagram this, buddy? What's the subject? Writers. Okay, and what'd they do?
They produce.
Have produced, right?
Yeah.
So that's your present perfect. And do you have a direct object in the sentence?
No.
Did they produce something?
Yeah, they produced 2,500 works.
Okay. Okay, and these are all modifiers here, right? What kind of works? Works about, mutiny. What kind of mutiny? Okay. And when did they produce them?
During the past 2 months.
So there's your adverbial preposition, right? Here's your expanded determiner. All right, what pattern is this? Yep. How many noun phrases you got?
1 and 2.
So it's a,
Pattern 7.
so right there, that's our active sentence. How are we going to make it passive? What's step 1, dude?
To move the dude,
Move the direct object.
the direct object to the subject.
Okay, so just to write it, right? Can you do it for me?
Works have.
Ooh, look where he got stuck there, right there. Works have. Now, let's look at step 2. Okay, what are you adding to the verb?
Abide.
You're adding be
Be
plus en, right?
plus E.
Okay, so once more, over 2,500 works. That was the direct object, is now the subject. And we have produced, all right, have been produced. And if we want to keep step 3 there, who did it? By writers. And of course, he could add all these modifiers too during the past 200 years, works about the mutiny and so forth. Look at the verb again, all right? We started with our verb expansion, do it, because they have to match up, right? Plus have, plus en, plus produce. There's no modals, there are no be plus ing, and you know, we're calling it the en ending because sometimes it ends in ed, right? Now we take the same thing and what do we add?
Abide.
Be,
A-B-Y.
be plus
A-B plus.
en, right? Okay, and that's what we did here, right? We have present plus have plus en, which is this en, and then we added the be and that en. And now it's passive. All right, now, if you have been fuzzy with your sentence patterns and you've been having trouble identifying your pattern 7s and distinguishing them from some of the other patterns, this is going to blow you away because this is going to fix everything. Okay? Now, can you focus on that one over there, please, brah? Can you read it from where you are? You need to zoom a little.
The suffix may have been a lot.
Okay, can you make that passive for me?
Uh,
Let's go. What do we do for, let's diagram it already here. The way it is, the active version. First we'll diagram it to make sure. Oh, it's alibi as a subject, right? And what's your verb? Okay, and then we have a noun there at the end, right? Good. Now, can you make it passive? Go ahead.
the lie may have been the
You having trouble?
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask you the question again. Can you make it passive? What's step one?
Move the object to the subject.
Okay, where's the direct object?
There isn't.
There isn't one. There is no direct object. What is this one? This is pattern 3, right? Ah, look at that. So if you've been having trouble, is it a pattern 3, is it a pattern 7, is it a pattern 5, or is it a pattern 7? Ask yourself, can you make it passive? If the answer is no, it is not a 7, 8, 9, or 10. Okay? If the answer is yes, I can make it passive because there's a direct object, can you focus over here, please? If the answer is yes, I can make it passive because there is a direct object, then you know that it must be 7, 8, 9, or 10. So Martha will give you several exercises of taking active sentences like this and making them passive. Then she'll ask you to take passive sentences and make them active. If you do this over and over again and diagram them, every time you look at a sentence that has a direct object, it's going to start appearing like it's written even in a different color. It's going to come out in neon, and you're going to be able to look at a sentence from far away and say, hey, that's a pattern 7, 8, 9, or 10. I can see it. All right, so have fun doing those little push-ups because they'll strengthen your eyes more than most of the stuff we've done so far, aside from maybe memorizing your prepositions. Okay, there's one other little sentence shift, focus shift called the there transformation, and we'll look at that next. See ya.